Let's see if this is working. I am going to check if I am live on Facebook and YouTube. I'm going live just a minute early because the last couple weeks I have not been able to be live right away. Oh, but it looks like it's working this time. Okay. All right. So I am definitely live on Facebook. And let me refresh. Oh my gosh, I think it's working on YouTube as well. Got it. Cool to the beans, cool to the beans. Okay, so I have my little setup here again. I'm not going to put the link on the YouTube page. I think I'm going to change some things up. I think my intro is a little too long, so I'm going to change some things. I'm going to switch back to my script for just a second. Like that little tiny. Okay, you're going to see my iPad for like a second, just so I can do this, and then we'll go from there. And I know I didn't post to any social media. I didn't do an email today. All the things. It has been just a little bit of a crazy day. So it is what it is. You know what I mean? So hopefully you have grabbed your favorite drink. What's up, homies? I'm Heidi. I am a work-at-home handmade business owner at HeidiMind.com, as well as a homeschool mom of 11 and 13-year-old girls. I go live here on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific, and during the live, I share about things with my business, homeschooling, and our personal lives. Although I think for the last month it's been business, and tonight I'm going to stick with that as well. I want to talk about anxiety in maybe handmade business, but maybe handmade, or maybe anxiety just in working. I don't know yet. We'll see. I started a script and then I scrapped it, so we'll see. Do be sure to follow on Facebook or subscribe on YouTube to get notifications when I go live or when I post new videos. Generally, I only post new videos to YouTube, but I do need to start posting to Facebook, at least that I'm putting videos up on YouTube. And then let's see, if you are joining me live tonight, please go ahead and comment with #live. And if you're watching on the replay, comment with #replay. This not only helps more people just like you come to hang out, but it lets me know when people are watching and if I need to change up my times and my days. So yeah, let me switch back to my split view. If I take my pen, maybe you won't see my iPad. Boop. Okay, so yeah, now that I am split view, I can see any comments that come in. So essentially, I was inspired to talk about anxiety with my handmade business. I'm going to stop for just a second, and I want to apologize if you can hear basketball. My workspace is in my garage. This door behind me is the actual door to my driveway, and next door my neighbors have a basketball hoop, and some of the local kids come and play basketball. I was thinking that now that it's starting to get dark sooner or earlier, that they wouldn't be out there, but tonight, of course, they're out there. So if you hear the basketball, sorry. I can't do anything about it. I mean, I guess I could go ask them not to, but I'm not that neighbor, so I'm not going to. So we're just going to ignore that, and hopefully they don't scream or hit my house. But this week, I really was thinking a lot about anxiety with my handmade business. And yesterday, I was at the charter school with my kids, and I was really kind of thinking about it, and I was trying to put together some thoughts, and I started just writing all this stuff, and it was all valid to where I think my anxiety started, but it was just so much that I did not want to get into every little detail. Because essentially, I think that my anxiety for my handmade business not only started in my childhood, but it was greater impacted. There's a neighborhood dog, or the next door neighbor's dog. It was impacted by some really terrible work experiences. And it's just, I don't know. I sometimes I see like Gen Y and Gen Z, and they're posting these things to social media, and it's their content, and sometimes it's humorous, and they're talking about work boundaries and work-life balance and all of these things that I have generally rolled my eyes at. I grew up during a time and to a family that has always made me feel, because maybe that's not how they meant it, but it's always made me feel like when you have a job, you have to give yourself to it completely. That if you do not get up and go to that job every single day, if you are not like so completely over 100% committed, that the whole world is going to fall apart if you're not there to hold it together. That's how I entered the workforce. I entered the workforce thinking that I needed to treat every job as if I was the owner. And if I didn't do that job, the entire business was going to fall apart. Which is kind of funny when you think about it. Because I started, my first job was at a burger joint. It was at a fast food restaurant. And when I got hired, I searched for months when I turned 16. I searched for months. No one would hire me. I finally went to my dad and I said, look, I've applied at all these places and no one wants to hire me because I'm 16. And he had a friend that was managing the Burger King right next to my high school. And he talked to the manager and they hired me. And apparently their like process to vet you was to throw you in drive-through on your first day. And I don't know if it was like some sort of ADHD that I had at the time, or if it's just my sparkling personality, but I loved drive-through. It was one of the most fun jobs that I ever had. I loved the multitasking of it. They actually refused to let me work in the kitchen. I always had to work the register. When I am not on camera, as a teenager, I had a very loud voice when I wanted to. I can project very well. So when you have like a Burger King that's full of high school students and you need to call out an order number, I could do that job very well. Eventually that manager, like shortly after I started working there, the manager changed. They brought in a new manager who, I don't know if it was my personality or if it was me personally. She just wasn't feeling me. And that's fine. Everybody's entitled to their own opinions, whatever. But she gave me a really hard time, and I could only work certain shifts, not only because I was 16 and still in high school full time, but also because the only way for me to get to and from work was the public school bus, or my parents, my dad and my stepmom, had to drop me off and pick me up. And they also had priorities and whatever. So I just couldn't work certain shifts. And the straw that broke the camel's back with that was my dad was going on vacation. So I literally did not have a ride to and from work. And I told my boss, I said, look, and I told her months in advance, I can work these hours of these shifts, but I can't work anything else because I don't have a ride. I can't, as a 16-year-old, even in a relatively safe community, I wasn't going to be riding the bus at 11 o'clock at night. I just wasn't. I still had to walk almost a mile home from the bus stop to my house. So I couldn't do it. And she said if I didn't show up for my scheduled shifts, which she scheduled me all shifts that I said I couldn't work, that she was going to take it as a voluntary quit. And I said, okay, that is what it is then. I left that job. I found another job at a local pizza parlor. I realized as I was writing things out yesterday that I always had female bosses. I don't think I ever had a male manager that I worked for. I had male, like, district managers and general managers, especially I worked at Roundtable, and the majority, if not all of their higher up management, corporate office management, was male, but my store was run by females, female manager, female assistant. And they hired me at Roundtable because the woman liked my personality. So I was like, cool. But then the assistant manager told me later, she's like, I honestly thought you would only last a week. I thought you were flighty and airheaded. And I was like, okay, cool. And looking back, I just think that that's so strange that I had all of these female bosses and they treated their female employees so poorly. They just talked down to their employees. And at that job in particular, you could tell they really favored their male employees. We had some wonderful male employees. They were all kind of like brothers. We had a very family setting there. So, we made it work, but I don't know. It was just strange. I went on to work for a fabric store, where again, I was talked down to because I looked younger than I was. I was 20, 21 years old, and they thought I was 16. So, and it wasn't just the other employees. It was also the customers. The verbal abuse that I took from all of these jobs was terrible. Oh, you know what? I did have one male manager, but the woman that owned the company the person that owned the company was a woman. And he was a terrible manager. So there's that. I must have blocked him out. But yeah, I don't know. It was just this very strange dynamic for a long time. I worked for 5 years in customer service, in food service, majority. When I turned 20, I moved to further Northern California. I was still working for the fabric store, but I also got a second job. It was the beginning of a long stint of working 2 jobs simultaneously. I worked for another Roundtable. I did prep in the mornings and I did the fabric shop in the evenings. From that point, I was usually working around 60 hours a week. I liked working. It kept me busy. It kept me doing things. I was paying my bills. It was fine. Eventually, I moved back to the Bay Area. I was given an assistant manager job. Well, I earned it, but I was offered an assistant manager job at the original Roundtable I worked at, but still treated very poorly by management. And it wasn't until I want to say like 22, 20, yeah. It doesn't sound like a long time, but during those years, it felt like it. I started working for a local bridal shop that was woman owned. She was a local, and she watched me with customers, and I had grown to a point where I was either very timid or I got super aggressive. So I would start out very timid with customers. Like my only job was just to please the customer. And then if they got angry or they got whatever, if they became unpleasant, I would get very aggressive with them because it was the point that I just was so tired of being verbally abused and taken advantage of, that I just didn't care anymore. I really didn't. I didn't care if I got fired anymore, which I never got fired from a job. So I guess I wasn't that aggressive. But that woman had to sit me down, and she was like, I will support you. They're not allowed to talk to you like that. So it's the first time that I really started to feel like I was a human employee and not just a servant. And I think that was a really hard hurdle to cross for me, because they want you to give your all. They want you to do everything they say. When they say jump, you say how high. But at the same time, these employers are telling you everyone is replaceable. If I had $1 for every time I was told that everyone is replaceable, I wouldn't have had to have worked. and I regurgitated the same trash, that everyone is replaceable. After that, I ended up going to work for my dad, and that was a very strange experience, and it was wonderful. That was actually the one job that I stayed at the longest, strangely enough. The first time that I worked for a man who happened to be my father, I had worked with my brother for a long time at the pizza parlor. So we had this really great way of working together, that we didn't take things personally. He knew when we were at work, I had to be the person in charge. I had to be the supervisor, the assistant manager, whatever hat that I needed to wear. But when we were home, that's not who I was. And vice versa. He couldn't talk to me at work as if I was his sister. And we were able to really navigate that very well. And then we both worked for my dad, and my brother and I had this relationship already in place, this brother-sister relationship separated from this working relationship. And I think it appeared very strange to other people, especially our dad, because he can be passionate about things. So we really, I don't know, we worked together for a very long time. I worked for my dad for 13 years. I loved that job. I learned a lot. I loved that he sometimes let me be hands-on, because I was just answering phones and doing the scheduling, which is great for my brain to figure out the puzzles of where to put jobs. But if they needed an extra person, I would help with running ductwork. I would break things down. I helped him move wall heaters and install them. Like, I would set them up and he would put them in. They were never... they never talked to me as if I couldn't do something. And if I had questions, if I was writing an invoice and I said, well, what is this part that you replaced? What does it do? My dad and my brother were wonderful at talking to me about it, which actually helped, because then when customers would ask me later, well, what is this? I knew how to give an analogy so that the customer would understand, because I got the mechanics of it enough to explain it in layman's terms. So we really had a good working relationship for a long time. There were just certain personal things that got in the way every once in a while, but that it's all under the bridge now. But then I started my own business, and I started this business while I was working for my dad. And at first, I did not think that I wanted to have a sewing business. I thought that I love sewing. I mean, I do love sewing. It's not like a thought, it is a fact. And I didn't want to ruin sewing by making it my business, because I think I just felt so overwhelmed by the jobs that I was doing. I felt so underappreciated that I hated my jobs. I hated them. I went to work for the paycheck. That was it. And the fact that I gave always 100%, whether I was well or sick or verbally abused, I still gave 100%, because I don't actually believe in more than 100%, it's not a thing. So like, if there was extra credit, I did the extra credit. I worked tirelessly. When my grandfather died, I didn't actually take time off. I worked extra shifts at the beginning of the week so that someone would switch me shifts on the night that I had to leave for the funeral, so I could just be off a couple hours early, and then the rest of the days were my normal days off. So like that's what I did. I did what I had to do. So then with this business, it was a weird thing. Working for my dad, I would go on vacations. I would still be answering phones. I would still be doing scheduling. I would still be doing invoicing. And I did that with my own business. When we would go on vacations, I would take my embroidery machines and bins of fabric with me. I would be doing invoicing. I would be doing social media. I would be doing photo editing, filling orders, cutting and packaging and all the things. I did it because I needed to make the money. And I would get horrible anxiety. And I really had to start accepting that it was actual anxiety, because every time my phone would give me an alert that I got an order, I would go into like just panic mode that where am I going to find the time to fill this order? What am I going to have to give up so that I could do this job that's expected? And then it got worse, because then you're also dealing with, at the time I only had an Etsy shop. And with Etsy, you really have no control over your reviews. And I would get messages from customers 24 hours a day. And if I didn't respond to them within their estimated time frame, they would just continue to message me like every 15 minutes, every hour, whatever was comfortable for them, that's what they would do. And I would wake up the next day to 20 messages from one person asking whatever question it was. Etsy had no framework at that point for us to say, look, these are my business hours. I will get back to you, but I'm sleeping. At the time, it was before the GDPR. GDPR. So I was selling to Europe and quite a few other places. And of course, their time difference. So they would be messaging me thinking, well, they're up. Why am I not up? Well, I'm in the United States. They would send me terrible messages. And especially if the post office was overwhelmed, if the post office lost something, I had quite a few things that would get misdirected, and they'd still end up with the customer, but maybe not on the time frame the customer wanted. And so not only was I getting these really insensitive messages from customers about things I had no control over, then they would leave reviews, and they would leave these horrible, horrible reviews. And I couldn't do anything about it because Etsy only will remove a review if it is like, I don't know. They say that they have these stipulations about when they'll remove them, but they've never actually removed any of my negative reviews for any reason. They always tell me it still falls within their whatever. And that seems to be the case for a lot of shop owners. But I have been messaged that I, ruined somebody's Halloween. I ruined their Christmas. I made their child not believe in Santa. It was like this whole thing. And it's hard not to take some of that a little bit personally, because this isn't just me packing boxes and shipping out someone else's products. What I do, I make it. It's completely me. I make the things with my hands and my machines. But I cut them, I package them, I ship them out. And then for people to say those things, it's just like, you know, I don't know. It's hard. And it's hard when they get angry at you for not wanting to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I kind of want to say to them, you know, do you work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? Because when I was in the workforce, I had a certain amount of hours that I could work. And you know, in California, there's certain labor laws. So it's a little crazy. Hello, Sarah. Sarah says, I've been working since I was 12 and I was a hard worker and very reliable. Most of my jobs have been working with the public, and it does wear you down at times. It really does. I think now I'm a little bit too nice to people that maybe don't always deserve it. I'm always trying to be extra understanding. Even pre-2020, I always want to, I say thank you and please, and I'm always polite to people. And I always try to be observant of whatever's going on in a situation. I can almost always tell you when there is an abusive customer in a building and who they've picked on. And I do tend to go out of my way to go and talk to those employees because nobody deserves that. Nobody for almost no reason at all. So now with having my own business, I really had to learn how to set boundaries with people and to not let people talk to me like that because I don't deserve it. And that's a weird thing to say. So, but I have noticed now, because I was closed I closed my business temporarily, early 2022, and then we had family things and I couldn't reopen until early this year. And I didn't want to reopen my Etsy shop. I really had it in my head that that's where all of the abusive customers were. And I just didn't want to do it. Etsy, I know I've had conversations before about Etsy. They take a lot of fees, blah, 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 blah. But I felt like the lack of control within that part of my business was more than what I wanted to do. And I have clearly changed my mind because my Etsy shop is open. I did reopen my Etsy shop. I gave myself some boundaries. You can have in your settings, you can turn off certain notifications. So I don't get notifications when someone likes or favorites one of my products. I don't get a lot of the notifications because when I first started back with Etsy, I had them all on, and I would get like the jitters when I would get these pings on my phone. They make different noises for different whatevers. And like, I would just be shaking because I was so afraid to look at my phone to see what it was. I couldn't even have been getting reviews at that point because I hadn't sold anything. But I was so paranoid that I was going to be getting like a mean message or a negative review or something, that I kept debating, should I turn this off? Should I turn this off? And so I turned off the notifications. I did leave on the notification for when I get a sale, and it makes this like cash register cha-ching sound. And I'm going to be turning that off actually, because it was the same thing. I get that notification and like, I just tense up. I don't know why, because it's like, oh, I'm making money. That's a good thing. But I've set my boundaries with my shop. Etsy, they've listened to a few things that shop owners have said. I can set up some automatic messages. So now I can put it into my Etsy account, like these are the hours that I work. So that those are when I can answer messages. And when I'm not working, Etsy will automatically send out a message that I've typed up and put in that says, you know, you've contacted me during non-business hours, and I will get back to you. So I think that's really good because that helps me to not feel like I have to respond to the message right the minute that I get it. because that's another thing that Etsy did, is they have this star seller badge. And part of the star seller badge is that you have to respond to customers within 24 hours, not 24 business hours, 24 hours. So if somebody messages me at 7:00 p.m. on a Friday, if I don't get back to them by 7 p.m. on Saturday, I potentially would lose my star seller badge. But now with this automated message, it counts that I've responded. So I can have my weekend with my kids for doing whatever we're doing, and then I can get back to the person on Monday. But then I started realizing that I had gotten myself into this whole weird thing with my business, that I would be so upset about the transactional process of getting an order, the sound of the sale, the seeing it in the computer. And you can set up your, what they call turnaround time. So it's your production time, the time it takes for you from the point of getting the sale until you can get it into like the post office. And I usually set those around 5 to 7 business days, because I homeschool my kids and sometimes things come up and I can't just fill an order within 24 hours. So I give myself a little buffer. But in the past, I was so overwhelmed with stress and anxiety that I would wait until day 5 to fill the order. I may not have been doing anything days 1 through 4, but in my head, I was angry. I was so angry at the customers because they weren't nice. And not that they're not that they were not nice. Like, I'm sure that they were actually wonderful customers. They were ordering from me. But in my head, all I could hear were the negatives, that they were going to complain about the order. They were going to complain about the shipping. They weren't going to like the quality. That they were going to think, why did I pay this much money for this thing? I had so much negativity built up about what I was doing that I forgot about all the wonderful reviews that I would get. Because honestly, for every 1 negative review I get maybe 10 positive reviews. And every time I get a positive review, I think, really? That's you really think it's that great? There's so much doubt in me that people really like the stuff that I make. I don't understand why it's so surprising, because I've been doing this for so long. But even now, I still, like, if I get a positive review, part of that is I just don't take compliments well. Like, I just don't. My mom tried to compliment me today, and I'm like, okay, next thing we're going to talk about. But I have such self-doubt about what I'm doing. And I know I do a good job. I know that when I send things out, I'm checking and triple checking. I know that I'm doing the best that I can be doing. But there's always this little voice in my head that says, are you really, Heidi? Are you really doing your best? Because if you were doing your best, then you would be getting it out the same day that you got the order. If you were doing your best, you wouldn't be sleeping or eating until that order was filled. So there's this whole inner monologue for me that is a little bizarre. But I gave myself some boundaries. I gave myself the goal that maybe I don't finish orders within 2 days of getting them, but maybe I do them within 3 days of getting the order. So by day 3, I start the orders. And I have actually started orders much faster than that. Like, I got a few orders Sunday night and I had them posted on Monday. I made them Sunday night right after I got them. I wasn't doing anything. Just knocked them out, got them in the mail the next day. But by day 3, I want them done so I can mail them on day 4. So I've been pretty good about that. I've been pretty good about giving myself that goal, setting that boundary, and completing it. I had a customer that wanted to order some sugar skull masks from me, and I have them listed in my shop. And I'm pretty sure that I changed my shop this year to say no custom orders, because I really just wanted to stick with what I have, and I didn't want to worry about changes. But I did allow this woman to do a custom, and because she just wants to change the color of the threads. But then she had certain things and I didn't understand, so I had to message her, and she tends to respond during my off hours, and it's really hard for me. I want to go in and I just want to answer her, and I've really had to stop myself and say, look, just because you're not doing anything right now, if you go and respond, then you're breaking your own rule, and this woman's going to know it, and she's going to know that you're online more than you say, and they're going to continue to message you. So I think I told her I was going to get her like a digital mock-up by the end of the week. I had time yesterday, so I did it. But then I wanted to email it to her last night, and it was like 6 o'clock. And so I did break my rule, and I messaged her with the photos, but I said, I'm working a little late today. I'm about to log off my computer. I wanted to send these to you, and I'll be working on them in the next couple days if they'll work for you. And she responded, and they were fine, and that was it. But it's really like, I really feel like, not that I think that those content creators that are Gen Y and Gen Z, it's not that I think that they're correct on all levels. I don't, they tend to be very snarky and very me first, and it just comes off as a lazy work ethic to me. I'm sorry, it comes off lazy. But there is some respect from me for that, because it is important to understand our boundaries and to set them, and to be able to tell people, no, you're crossing a line. I'm not going to tolerate that. Because I do wish someone would have done that for me when I was younger. Because then maybe I wouldn't have gone years of 3 hours of sleep trying to work 2 jobs 7 days a week. It was just a very, very strange time. I really struggle with planning, with time management, ironically. I think that's funny because of the whole homeschooling and having my own business thing, that you would think that I would be like excellent with planning, and I'm not at all. And if anybody that's ever actually seen my YouTube videos will know that I'm constantly saying, I'm going to have this up on my website, or I'm going to post this video, or whatever. And then like it's crickets. So I'm working on that. I'm working on getting better at not just setting the boundaries for my customers, but also setting those boundaries for myself and saying, if I'm going to be doing XYZ, I need to get that done. And I need to get it done on the time frame that I've set aside. So yeah, I think there was something else I was going to talk about, and now I can't think of it, which is why it's really important for me to make notes for myself. But whatever. So yeah. So I wish I had some great pointers about how to deal with anxiety with business. But I think that it's different for every person. Obviously, the symptoms and the triggers are going to be different, but also the way that we deal with things is very different. The way I handle certain stressors is very different from how my mom handles it, and which is very different from the way my daughters will handle it. It's such a juggle to try to figure out what works, and then to balance that, especially within our family, to be able to balance the kids and myself and my job and all of the other things that we have up in the air. So I'm probably going to keep this one a little bit short tonight, just because, because I didn't do a script. I'm not really showing you anything special or new. I'm just kind of, it's a chat night. Yeah, I was thinking about doing like filling orders again. So I do think I'm going to be doing that at least twice a month, doing the live as a, like, this is how I work video. I know I've mentioned before that I'm pointing in this direction because this is where my, my big machine is, that I need to do the tension test on my big machine. I did do maintenance on it, so it's in working order, and there are a few needles that work perfectly, so I've used those for some projects that I've worked on, but I need to adjust the tension on the rest of them. So that is a project, I think for tomorrow. I had planned to do it tomorrow, and then I just had an appointment get scheduled in the morning, so the goal is to do that tomorrow. And then I will be looking at, if I'm not filling orders, I just have to make sure that the projects I work on are things that I can actually show you when I'm working on them, and not things that I'm not allowed to show you when I'm working on them. Because there are so many bags that I want to make, zipper bags, and I can't, the majority of the ones that I want to do, I can't do because I can't do videos that are like step by step. So I would have to make sure that the cameras are only recording certain times. And sometimes that's hard in a live setting versus if I record them, then I can cut and paste things together later. I have been working on my collectible Christmas videos. I posted 2 of those last week, and I will be posting 2 of them tomorrow. When I stop this live, I'm actually going to go edit those. Editing, arg. Sarah, I need to message you about that still, the editing. Are you, if you're still online, are you using the same one that you told me before, the Microsoft one? Because I think I just upgraded like the monthly plan. Clip Champ, I think that's what it's called. Yes, yeah. So I just did like the month to month to upgrade it. I'm not sure if I love that because I think that my video card needs to be upgraded. That's the kind of nerd I am. That I learn little bits about different things. So I know just enough to sort of sound like I know what I'm talking about. I don't think I can change my video card on my work computer, but I think I can change it on my other PC. Well, I can't. I mean, I probably could, but I'm not going to. I'm going to take it to my dad because my dad can. But I think if I do that, the videos will load faster while I'm editing. But I just paid for the upgrade because like I can load my branding and stuff. So I don't know. We'll see how that works. We had a homeschool workshop today, parent workshop, that I missed my Sarah. Boo. But I made some jokes that it was, I was on time. I was very early to this one because I was not early to the last one. Oh my gosh. And they had Chrome coffee there, and Chrome coffee is excellent. I need to post that on Facebook. It was really good. If you're local to Contra Costa County, Chrome coffee, awesome. Yeah, it's been crazy over there. Yeah. So the workshop today was just for everyone that might be interested. It was basically like they had table leads, and we had people that would come to our table, and then there was like a group question, and everybody would talk about their answers to the question. And then you had a time, and at the time, after the time was up, then everyone at the table except the table lead would get up and change. And like they had this whole system, so they kept like mixing people up, so you weren't ever with like the same people. But then only half of the people showed up. They had like 45 people RSVP, and like 22 of them showed up. It was so weird. Yes, and Sarah says speed dating for homeschoolers, and that was the joke I made. I'm like, it's like speed dating. I'm getting practice. But it was good. It was good. I met a lot of amazing homeschool moms that I've never met before. I got a lot of tips. And in true Heidi fashion, I plugged Sarah's YouTube channel. So, if you are looking for homeschool ideas, suggestions, inspiration, definitely check out Home with Sarah Jane on YouTube. She's amazing, both online and in person. So, do check her out. I need to start putting the link to your channel in my descriptions. I will start doing that because I don't think I get a whole lot of people that watch my channel right now. Hopefully eventually I get more people watching, but I do love watching Sarah Jane. I totally pimped out your channel today, especially about your planner. Sarah's homeschool planner is Homeschool Mom Goals. I talked about your book setup, the color coding, right as your advisor was walking by. And she said, "You're talking about Sarah, aren't you?" And I said, "Yep." So yeah. And then the next workshop, Sarah and I are Maggie. Her planner's name is Maggie. At the next workshop, Sarah and I have been phased out. Unfortunately, the next workshop is for like K through 5th grade or 1st through 5th grade. And Sarah and I no longer have elementary school children. So yeah, that was, I had my tantrum because that's my grown-up time. Like, other than my Wednesdays where I talk to my camera and anyone that happens to pop in, and of course Sarah, who I could talk to whenever I want, like that's my real grown-up time where I talk to other grown-ups that do similar things to what I do. So I was just like, oh my gosh, you're taking my once a month dating time away. Just kidding. It's not dating. So they said I could help. They said I could be a door greeter, give people name tags and whatever. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I get to do that. And what else? Oh, and they interviewed me today. The director, which I don't have to mention her name, Sarah knows her, of our charter, her son was doing something with their, I don't know, they're trying to put together something for our charter school, like a video, and they needed someone to talk to a camera about our charter school and why I go to the parent workshops and why I've stayed with the charter school for 9 years. My children's entire their entire educational career, is that what we call it? Experience has always been with this particular charter school. And apparently when they asked around who they should talk to, they were told that I was the person to go to. And I said, sure, I have plenty of stuff to say, always. But then I joked that I didn't have my pigtails. What was I going to do? I think I've decided that pigtails are definitely my YouTube persona. Not that I don't wear them anyway. I will wear my pigtails out in public all the time, whatever. But definitely, they'll tell you things, coaches, whatever, content creators, they will tell you things that you have to you do when you're getting ready to do something for your business, whether you're going to write descriptions, create products, write social media, go on YouTube, create content, like video content. And they say, you got to find things for yourself that are positive triggers that get you where you need to be mentally. And I thought, then they say things like, light some incense or put on some music or whatever. There's all kinds of different things. And I'm like, I don't have that. And then I realized I do have that. Because today I kept thinking, I don't want to do a live today. I wasn't feeling very confident in what I wanted to talk about. And maybe I don't come across as confident with what I talked about because I didn't do a script for it. I went very from the heart and off the cuff. But I do realize that when I get ready to go live and I put my hair in pigtails and I brush my teeth, it's brushing teeth, man. It is so therapeutic sometimes. Picking out a shirt that I'm going to wear, even though I think I'm really channeling fall. Dear Mother Nature, it's tomorrow, baby. I'm ready for fall, ready for the cool weather. But those are the things that I do that get me into this mindset of I'm about to stare at a ring light for give or take an hour. Because that's what I'm staring at is a red camera light and a ring light. And it's bright in my face. So yeah, it's a whole thing. But yeah, that's my tiny little homeschool update. Homeschool's doing good. Kids are doing their math tutoring and getting so much better with math. So that's excellent. And yeah, and slowly I'm getting sales on Etsy for masks. I think I was going to talk about that. Etsy is super, super slow this year. Normally I'm like at over 100 orders. Like I think in September, I want to say that I would usually average anywhere from like 5 to 10 orders a day, and I'm barely getting 10 orders a week. I don't even know that I'm at 10 orders a week. I might only be at like 25 orders for the month. So it's a little frightening. I understand that the economy is not in a great place. And when you think about it, like who needs a felt mask, blah, blah, blah. But there are people that are not struggling. So I just need them to, come out and buy some things. Sarah says, we already changed some curriculum. Yeah. And I think that's important for anybody that is homeschooling or considering homeschooling or, throwing things around. Give yourself permission. And I guess that really works with small business as well, or any business. Give yourself permission to change things. That's a big thing because I know that when we first started, I didn't know you could change curriculum mid-school year. I thought once you had it, it was locked in. That's what you had to do. And we really struggled the first year of homeschooling because the curriculum that I got was so freaking boring. It was miserable. It was Ferris Bueller's Teacher boring. I put myself to sleep. So it was not the business. And I do think that there should always be some grace in being able to change your mind and do things that you love because you love them. If someone doesn't enjoy homeschooling, they shouldn't homeschool. Not all the time. I mean, nobody loves everything all the time. But yeah, it just, yes, that's what biology was. The clear eyes guy. My knowledge of commercials is frightening. I can still hear, Calgon, take me away. Dry eyes. All right. I'm getting silly now, so I think that's time. It's time. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Don't be afraid to change it up. Set some boundaries, set some guidelines, and don't be afraid to change it up because that's the only way to make anything work. And that is definitely why we are friends. Definitely. October has a Friday the 13th this year. So mostly this is directed at Sarah, who I could message privately, but I'm going to put it on YouTube and Facebook. October 13th is a Friday, and I have never geeked out so hard. And I am going to be planning a Halloween movie marathon. which will not be a 24-hour marathon. I'm thinking I might start it at around 11 o'clock in the morning because Sarah is not an early riser. I've been getting up at like 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning for weeks now. And I'm like, I can't message Sarah. It's too early. But I was talking to my kids and I was like, wouldn't it be so super fun to do like a Halloween movie marathon day? And we just like pick Halloween movies and we do like a scheduled lineup. And struggling to get up by 8 o'clock. Yeah, sometimes. I've been there. There have been days I didn't get up until like 12. I mean, sometimes I guess they were weekdays. Who knows? But I want to do so we're going to plan out our favorite Halloween movies. We're going to put them on a timeline for that day, like 11, 12 o'clock in the morning, afternoon, until 10, 11 o'clock at night, because we have children. And I have a list of people, and of course Sarah is at the top of my list to invite over, and I'll have my house clean by then. But we have a popcorn machine, not like a really cool one, but like, a little countertop air popcorn machine. And one of the girls got like a gummy bear maker years ago that we've never used, and they have a kid's cotton candy machine that we've never even taken out of the box. So I'm like, we're going to do this whole thing and people can show up for the whole day. They can show up for just a couple of movies. They could show up just to have some cotton candy and hang out, whatever. We're going to do the things. I will make pizza dough and we will do mini pizzas. Maybe I'll bust out the pizza oven. I really should. I really, really should. I want to get the fire pit out and going so we could do s'mores. It's going to be a whole vibe. I'm going to celebrate Friday the 13th in October like it's 1999, baby. Corpse Bride, Beetlejuice, Nightmare Before Christmas, Coraline. Those were already on our list. Because for anybody that does not know me, Halloween is my jam. My sewing room right now it looks crazy, but when it is done, it will look like Barbie decorated it. My sewing room, I love things to be all pink and bright and bubbly. But my house looks a little bit like the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland with a little splash of Pirates of the Caribbean. And I'm not just saying like that's kind of the mood. I'm saying literally I have decor from Disney that is Haunted Mansion, Nightmare Before Christmas from Haunted Mansion, Pirates of the Caribbean. Like we did Disney hard back in the day, and the stuff we brought home was insane. I will try to fix my Haunted Mansion wall decor before the 13th because you push it looks like the I can't think of the word. Like when you walk up to the Haunted Mansion and there's like the sign that says Haunted Mansion and then it does the whole like intro. We have one of those from a special release Haunted Mansion event. The person who was supposed to pick it up never did, and so the store sold it to us. And when you push the button, it actually says like the whole intro to Haunted Mansion. It's awesome. I was gonna say a bad word, I think, but I stopped myself. Sarah says, I'm about to paint some of my bedroom black. When we bought our house, I had the master bedroom painted dark gray because I was like, I'm going to sleep in there. I want it dark. And so we did. We painted it dark gray. But then like after a while, it's like the room feels really small. So when I switched rooms, I painted that room white. And at first I couldn't even sleep in it. I would just be up. I mean, it may have been other things that I just wasn't able to sleep because of, but having a white room did not help. I have been able to sleep in it now, but at first it was very bizarre to me. The room was very bright and big and cavernous. It was weird. It could have the Addams Family. That would be perfect. Yeah. Addams Family. I'm trying to think if there was someone else. Yeah. There's just so many wonderful Halloween movies that I love. I always get a little silly about, not that we have cable anymore, but what is it, Family Channel, that always does like the 31 Days of Halloween. Like first they did 13 Days of Halloween and then expanded it. But they always played like the same movies over and over and over again. So if they had the Addams Family at 7 o'clock on Monday, or I think they'd start out with like Addams Family at 6 o'clock on Monday, and then on Tuesday it would be at 7 o'clock, and on Wednesday it'd be 8 o'clock, and Thursday it'd be 9 o'clock, and Friday it'd be 10 o'clock. And like they rotate movies like that. And I'm like, there are enough even kid-friendly Halloween movies that like you don't have to play the same movie over and over again. Oh, I want Hocus Pocus. I told the kids I wanted Hocus Pocus, and they said we could have Hocus Pocus 1, but we didn't like Hocus Pocus 2. And I'm like, okay, but you have to watch 1 and 2, or you don't have to watch it. You can go to your room and I'll watch it, and that's fine. I don't know. Maybe in October on Wednesdays I will discuss Halloween movies. That might be a thing I could do, because kid-friendly Halloween movies. I actually don't watch the super scary Halloween movies. Now I've hit 8 o'clock and I'm still going. I don't watch the scary ones. I don't know why. I don't know why. Never seen Friday the 13th. I've never seen Nightmare Before Elm Street. I've never seen any of the Chucky movies. I couldn't even tell you too many others. I've never seen any of the Saw movies. I think I watched parts of House of Wax once. I like psychological thrillers, or I like blood and guts, but I don't necessarily like them both together. I don't know why. I don't know. Deep Blue Sea had me sleeping with the lights on for 3 days, and I was in my 20s. So that, it's a vibe. I'm a whole vibe. So I am going to get rid of the comments so that I can see oh my gosh, I just saw my face when I did that vibe thing, and that was awful. I'm gonna move my screen so I can see my outro script, so I won't be able to see comments. I apologize if anybody comments at this point. But I do want to say thank you so much for joining me tonight. If you haven't already, be sure to give this video a like or a thumbs up, follow or subscribe, and comment with #live or #replay. All of these interactions not only help push out the video to more people that would enjoy them, they help me know what content you are enjoying the most. So until next time, if you do have recommendations for kid-friendly Halloween movies, you can drop them in the comments from the replays. But yeah, I have a whole Halloween playlist that we watch like all year long. So it's probably on there. But maybe in October I'll start doing like Halloween movie reviews, and I can talk about, I don't know, two movies at a time. Who knows? Who knows? I'm trying to click the button so that I can turn the live off, and it's not working. So there we go. Thanks again.